we're in the way in the 90s.
Okay. And
I don't know where they're coming up with that kind of information, and that doesn't matter to me. I could care less.
my other question is, what are you going to do with the group home that's on High Street if you said they were going to move?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. So what we're going to do with that piece of property is we're going to go ahead and remodel it because it needs some work. And then we're going to go ahead and change it from a 6-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. And so we'll go ahead and turn that into, so rather than have, I haven't made my mind up on this yet, and this is something I have to talk about the board with. So we'll have two options. We can either make that a 24-hour home, or we can open that up to 4 individuals that's having a hard time finding housing here. We can't find housing. And so what they could do is move in there, and then maybe we would only give them supports maybe 2 or 3 hours a night, if that's what they needed. So we have both options, and we're going to kind of see which way that would work, because as I'm looking through these reports, there's a lot of clients that don't have anywhere to live. So
Thank you.
that's a good question. Thank you.
Can I ask, so you've got 2 of your homes up on Tipton completed, and you've got 2 more to build up there?
Yes, sir.
And do you intend on finishing those out before you would even, let's say we gave you this property. So are you going to finish the ones out on Tipton before you'd ever start on the ones down there, or?
That is, you know, I appreciate that question, because that is a really, really good question. So the way we'd have to do this would be this. I have to build the group home first. That's my number 1 priority, because we've been looking for 6 years. And we'll get that built. And yes, we will go ahead and get that place looking the way it needs to be, and then we're going to go ahead and finish Wright Street first. And we'll get Wright Street done before we even build a duplex there. So in the projections, the way we were looking at this, we had a 2 to 3 strategic year plan, and we're looking, you know, Peak Community Services will be hiring probably another 60 people over the next 2 to 3 years. We're growing leaps and bounds. So the stuff that we're hearing tonight is not absolutely true. So yes, we'll do Wright Street first on those duplexes before we ever build a duplex here. But we do need to build a group home there. There are legal requirements to build a group home, and I cannot build that at Wright Street.
So it sounds, I mean, from some of the conversation, like if you were to acquire this property, you've already got somewhat of a plan in place. I mean, have you got something drawn up, or just?
Well, excuse me, what do you call those? The covenant, not the covenants, restrictions. Deed restrictions threw a wrench in the plan there, but we can still adjust and do the group home and get that going.
So you would put the group home if you built where on the farthest piece of property, or the?
You know, honestly, I have to talk to our contractor on that. I don't have those. Here's the other thing. We have to get a civil engineer to come out here and look at this. We're going to get a civil engineer out here to make sure that everything flows the way it's supposed to. Let me come this way and show you. So it maybe could fit here. I don't know. If it does not, as a last resort, because we need to do it, we would have to figure out which one of these 3 would be the best. It would overlap 3 of those.
3 of those lots.
Correct, because we want to put parking in there and make
Right.
sure that we can have self-sustaining everything there off the street. You know, we want our staff cars off the street. We want the bus can go in the garage, obviously. We build a garage as well. And just so everybody in here understands, this group home is going to be about $800,000 to $900,000 home. They're nice homes. Honestly, they're probably nicer than most of our homes. I'm gonna guess. And the duplex that's down there on Wright Street, those are $526,000. Oh, and now that I brought that up, I'll go ahead and explain this. So what happened, just for the record, the reason why there's no retaining walls out there and no fence out there right now, I'm glad that point was raised. Well, one, this is Indiana, we had really cold weather. So construction on concrete had to stop until it warmed up. So we weren't able to do that. And we had to go through the variance to get that alley out of the way, and that took a couple months and it slowed it down. And so that there was nobody purposefully sabotaging that. It just came out that way, and I thank the council for doing that last month. We got that done, but because we didn't get it done right away, the builders had to keep on going down the road. And so now he's coming sometime this month to do the retaining wall. So we'll have a nice retaining wall up there in front of that Wright Street property, and then we'll have a nice fence up there and a new sidewalk. But the retaining wall has to get put in first before they can put all the dirt backfilled into it. So when it's all said and done, I think it's going to really make the city look nice in that area. Safety concerns will be all ironed out. And like the sidewalks, the mayor's office has already approved last year, once we get that going, we're going to put ADA sidewalks down there on the corners. They're going to be down there. All the requirements that we need for disabilities will be there. As far as sidewalks concerned, that's why they're in the buses. They're up there and we can transport them where we need to transport them. Sorry about the long answer.
No, that's all right. I appreciate it. I guess my last question to you is twofold. What did you see your timeline like if we pass this tonight? What was your timeline in your mind?
As far as the group home,
Yeah.
if this is passed tonight, tomorrow I call the civil engineer and get him out here, and then I petition the state of Indiana for the license, which we're already a couple months behind schedule, and contractor is not real happy with me.
One last question. Is it a deal breaker for you if the city were to say to you, well, we think 4 homes down there is too many?
To say there's the 4 homes?
Let's say we said to you, well, we think it was more suitable to have a group home and a duplex down there and that be it. No, nothing beyond that. Is that a deal breaker? I mean, in your mind, is that, because honestly, when it was first brought to my attention, I didn't realize there'd be 4 of them down there. I was thinking 2.
2, I would say two for sure, and if we were able to work something out with those restrictive covenants, a third one at that point, but that wouldn't be a deal breaker, no.
2 duplexes, 2 group homes.
I was just looking at a total, 2 buildings down there.
So, yeah, a group home and a duplex, for sure, but let's say for some reason we were able to get the restrictive covenants lifted down the road, I don't know, then maybe an opportunity to put one with a total of 3, meaning 1 group home and 2 duplexes totality.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I see where you're going with that, Councilman Morrison. I think that we could live with that.
I have a question. Sure. Why have you not brought an engineer in ahead of time to see if the site's even suitable to build on? Would that not be a prudent thing for you to at least front the cost, bring an engineer in? Because the city gives you the land, and then your engineer comes on the site and says, well, you have site issues, it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to mitigate. And we know in Logansport that happens all the time. Wouldn't it have made more sense for you to have an engineer go to the site first, rather than wait for the city have to give you a commitment, and then you back out of it? And also, my other question was just relative, and I know with HIPAA you can't say.
We only gave you 1 question. No, I'm just teasing.
I know with HIPAA you can't say much, but are any of your clients registered sex offenders?
So
Identifying it.
let me answer question 1 first. Obviously, we have done our due diligence, and just because I haven't paid or hired for a civil engineer, doesn't mean we haven't done our due diligence. We have looked at that, and from what we understand, it is going to be very doable. We've had people do that, but to go incur an extra expense and not even know if this is going to take place, and not for sure tonight, No.
So you've done no core sampling or any testing of the ground or baseline
No.
or any of that?
No.
So you're just hoping there's no problem?
We've had people look at it that's been doing this probably a lot longer than some folks in this room, and from what they're telling us, that we are good to go. And two, as far as the sex offender question, I am not going to answer that question. And I guess if you want to know that question, look it up on the county police departments. They're on there.
I have a comment. There's an alley that runs to the south of that whole property. And it goes through and it turns to the south out to about 19th and High. To ease some congestion, you might take that as an idea, a suggestion, that top southeast lot and make a road going through that alley and widen that alley to get out to 19th and High. That might be a
Actually, John Smith at Shepler Construction, me and him were actually talking about that a few weeks ago, that is probably one of the solutions we're going to try to come up with once we go through this. We're going to try to figure out a solution to do that that you suggested. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It looks right.
Two ways in instead of just one.
Exactly. And we need to figure out that cost in that, but I think that would be a good solution. It did look, as far as elevation and everything that I've seen, it seemed to make sense.
That's my neighborhood too, I live a block from it. Okay.
We would like to do that if we could. And from our initial reports, we think we can.
Okay.
But until we have a civil engineer out there tell us definitely, then,
Just not to impede on the properties heading
Correct.
south.
Right, that would be the idea, is to eliminate some of these concerns that these good people in here just said.
It would sure help, have two
Right.
ways in instead of one.
Yes, sir.
I have one more. I think the answer is no, but is there, since you've been looking for so long, is there a group home in Logansport that we could drive by and look at that would resemble the one that you would like to build?
Well, yeah, you can, but it's not near as nice as the two up in Winnemac. Treen Street, I can't remember the address off the top of my head, but there is one on Treen Street.
Okay.
That one there.
At the very end of the street.
It's on the corner.
Jackson Street.
Treen Street, and I don't remember the other name, but it's right there on the corner. That's probably going to be one that you could look at, and it's going to be fairly close to that, except the garage will be a little bigger. That way we can get the bus in there. That one wasn't made to do that.
Discussion.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second to vote. Call.
Just made a motion,
To table it?
yes. So,
Second entrance exit would be.
I personally would prefer to see some type of a plan with the concerns that have been raised tonight
yeah,
and knowing the area. I mean,
I think at this point, I agree with what you're saying, Chris. I think we need more information from Chris. I think we
I
need to table
I
this.
understand not wanting to take the cost, but I think everybody.
I appreciate both,
Before,
I appreciate both sides of the table, and I think I would just like to hear a little bit more.
It'll give us time to take a better look at the situation, maybe look at the parking that are the concerns of everyone down there. I know, you talk about kids playing. I used to haul my kids down there, and it was always interesting when you come to pick them all up at the same time. But, I went down there the other day, and I noticed, just with where Miles Street's located, I noticed the guy on the end of the one, I guess he'd be on the east side there. He must have had his property surveyed recently. He's got stakes in his yard. So Miles Street goes pretty close to his home, just over there. But I'd like to just get a better idea, Chris, of what the end result's going to be. And I, my personal feeling is maybe 4 units is way too many in there. But this way, we can take into consideration your position and the neighborhoods, because we want, like you said, we want all to end up being partners in this venture.
I'm not opposed to the project by any means. I would just like to see a little more facts before I vote.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second? Second. Call for question?
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
BJ Cox,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
Yes,
Cameron Austin.
Yes. Resolution 2025-119 is tabled. Resolution 2025-120, Councilman Austin.
Resolution 2025-120, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, authorizing additional expenditures from the GO Bond Fund number 321/3321. Mr. Mayor, ask for a vote on Resolution 2025-120.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for question?
BJ Cox. Yes. Chris Howard,
yes,
Cameron Austin. Yes. Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-120 passes. Resolution 2025-121, Councilman Petey.
Resolution 2025-121, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, authorizing the transfer of funds into Community Crossings Grant Fund number 282/2404 with the completion of the 2025 Street Revitalization Plan. Mr. Mayor, I ask for a vote on Resolution 2025-121, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call for question?
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
yes,
BJ Cox. Yes. Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Dave Morris.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-121 passes. Resolution 2025-122, Councilwoman Wamsley.
Resolution 2025-122, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Logansport, Indiana, committing funds for the future purchase of a new fire engine for the Southside Fire Station. I move for a vote for Resolution 2025-122.
second,
Any further discussion? Call for question?
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Chris Howard,
yes,
Haley Zinsmaster, Scott Petey,
Yes.
BJ Cox. Yes. Cameron Austin.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-122 passes. Are there any public comments? Anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment? Please come to the microphone.
Just real quick to get clarity, so when we come in a month, we know we have what you want as far as Dunwoody and Peak. You mentioned more information. I just want to make sure we know what we're looking at. So is it a drawing or a floor plan, or is it
that's what I'd like to see.
a layout of what
Like a
a
layout of what you're thinking.
road?
We want to ease congestion, what can we do? You know,
Want to come and not have the right
Right, right.
stuff, and then we got
Gotcha.
another month. So if there's anything else.
Feasibility of the alley to the southeast being used as a entry-exit point.
And I think also that they should strongly consider not overdeveloping the area so that there's, instead of looking at 30 people and 4 houses, if you're looking at 2 buildings, and I just think you're going to get a better reaction to that than what you're looking at right now and what you've explained.
Okay. So it laid out initially, then what would be the maximum, or is that the maximum itself? So
Right.
road, alley considerations.
Soil samples to see what's underneath there if you've not done that yet. It's important.
Well, that's not important to us, that's their problem.
What do you really think?
Anything else?
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it.
Any other public comments? council member comments?
I'd like to make a comment, and I apologize because it's been a long meeting and everyone's tired of sitting here, but I'd like to talk to Tyler. I'd like to address you about the time clocks, which are still not being used. The electrical work has still not been completed to get the project done. And I also hear that we have an IT person and you're in charge of IT, and we have this new contract that we're paying all this money for. I don't hear anything complimentary about our IT department, sir, and I'd like to know what your game plan is, knowing that the person that you have on site is leaving. So I want to know what you're doing to address all of that.
That answers where we're at with the time clocks. She has put in her 3 weeks' notice, and that's been 2 weeks ago. So right now, she's pretty hard to get a hold of. And as far as the contractor, I sent him the email. I'm just waiting on a time frame of when they can start. It already went through the Board of Works and got approved.
Is that small contract?
Yeah, yes,
You're gonna be doing it?
yeah. And as far as the new person goes, we will, until they get somebody hired, we will have somebody that's from another office, the Lebanon office, that will be here once a week until then.
Is this someone that you approve of, or this just someone that they send you?
So we look at them, at the options that they choose. We decide out of the ones, I mean, I don't know if we actually decide, but they take our input in on what we believe in that person. So currently, from what I understand, we have 2 people from Kokomo that have put in for it, and a local person that's here in town.
Thank you.
Any other council member comments?
Maybe it's here for the board, for here, or maybe the Board of Works. What is the criteria for being certified as a city electrician?
That's a question for Rob.
How do you get certified as a person who do electrical work in the city of Logansport?
They have to have 5 years' experience working with a contractor, and they also have to take a test. They have to pass
5 years,
experience
and then the test is from where?
test in our office.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Any other council member comments?
I have a couple, Mayor. I just wanted to, and maybe I've already told you this, maybe I'm being redundant, but we recently went through an S&P review of our rating, and we got our rating back, and we maintained the rating that we had. One of the comments they made was we had a low debt burden when you considered the revenue that we have. The debt that we had wasn't a risk, so we retained our A rating. They did make some recommendations on our bookkeeping and whatnot, but they also made the comment in their statement that they weren't real impressed with the guidelines from the State Board of Accounts in Indiana because of the cash system that they work under. So, but that was good news for us to retain our A rating. I had a question and a request, I guess. I found out recently that we have a Phase 1 and a Phase 2 federal grant sidewalk program. And we've been paying on one of them for 5 years, the other for 4 years. And I found out that somehow a deadline was missed, and it's delaying our project by a year, and I'd like to have the engineers, Fleece and Vandenbrink, come to a meeting of the council to explain to us why we didn't meet our deadlines and what the timeline is from here forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get a hold of them.
Third comment is we got a letter from Ivy Tech and from some students out at Ivy Tech. Part of the Revere Home project was we set up an incentive program for the people that lived in the homes that they leased from the Revere project could get grants through the city of Logansport to advance their education. And there's 3 people benefiting from that program. And I'll just read you one. They're all fairly similar, but these were all sent to the mayor, and then he forwarded them on to me. Just says, I am blessed to have received the City of Logansport's degree scholarship through the Revere Project, and I'm studying nursing and will graduate in December. Thank you so much for your generosity. Because of you, I have less to worry about. Haley Miller. So, got 3 of those very similar, and you set these things up, and you never know if people are going to use them or not. So it's kind of gratifying to see that someone's taking advantage of it. So, that's it.
Any other public comments, or council member comments, sorry? All right. Miscellaneous business and any matters not already considered, including ADA Section 504 compliance or concerns. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Question?
Dave Morris,
Yes.
Susie Wamsley,
Yes.
Scott Petey,
Yes.
Haley Zinsmaster,
Yes.
Cameron Austin,
Yes.
Chris Howard. Yes. BJ Cox.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Have a great night.
Happy.